going on, everybody? We will get started up here very, very shortly. It's kind of crazy whenever you have to watch a stream and then do a stream about it immediately after, but some good stuff to talk about here. We'll have some other things to talk about. Give it a couple minutes here. We're going to start at exactly 9:45, so 2 minutes, then we'll get going. Erikai was in the chat like 2 hours ago to claim first, by the way, so we'll give him credit for that. What's up, Jared? What's up, Vandrad? Uh-oh, Vandrad's angry. He's in the green room. This will get good tonight, folks. This will get good. Hello. Well, Jawan, we will cover everything here for you in just a couple minutes. We're going to go live at 9:45 Eastern, so two minutes from now. Somehow it's still 2 minutes. Clock's not moving. Yeah, Griffica, I'm actually going to talk about that. We're going to do a little personal thing here at the end. I wanted to talk to you guys, but I appreciate you bringing that up and remembering that about me. In about 1 minute here, we'll go live with the stream. Thank you to everybody who's here already from that. I know it's a little awkward when we have to push our time back, but this is how we will do it for future Thursday streams that they do, because they are pretty intent on doing Thursday at 9 p.m. When they do these little updates. So it'll go their update right into ours to discuss it, or we may have another topic on hand that we talk about. But my guess is most of the time we're going to talk about what we just learned and kind of go from there. So tonight, I hope you guys can jump into the green room, but we'll break it all down here with the official start in 1 minute. All right, guys, we are at 9:45. Let's go live.
Oh, we're live? We're streaming right now? Cool. Awesome, man. Let me just
What's going on, everybody? Minus here from Pantheon Plus, and tonight we are going to talk about the dev stream that we just saw. We have a meter here that's going to say I got what I wanted from the stream. That's at the very top. Or at the bottom, I wanted a lot more from the stream. So if somewhere in the middle, you know what that means. So we're going to go ahead and talk through some of the different things that I've seen and learned from it. And then what really we're going to do is we're going to fire right into the community. There are a ton of people in the green room. So we are going to get to everybody. We have Erikai, we have Gritaz, Hoye, Mythius, Vandrad, and Lexer all in there. So we are going to, we're definitely going to bring people in. We're going to have the ability for everyone to give their opinion on this, and we'll go a little later tonight if we need to, so we can try to get everybody in the chat. So let's go ahead and start with what I normally do is I will set my meter. Before we begin, I do want to let everyone know, in case you want to jump out of here towards the end. At the end, actually, if you've been in chat, Griffica brought up a personal question about me, and I'm actually going to address that at the end of the stream with a pretty big announcement. It is personal. If you don't like personal stuff, just get off. Or I understand this. If I do bring up personal things, just know that it is okay to roast me as much as you like, no matter how much it may seem like that would be a horrible thing. I understand I'm putting myself out there. We'll get into that towards the end of the stream. But let's get back to the matter at hand here, which is we saw a dev stream tonight. And I'm going to go into the details here on what I took away from it. And then you guys are able to tell me what you took away from it. Tell me how you feel about it. Tell me if you agree with anything I have to say. So let's jump right into that so we can get to everybody here. So they talked about, let's just talk about the stream itself. The overlay was a little different, a little cleaner. They got away from the pretending they were sitting next to each other, and they just kind of put each other in boxes and did their own thing. I think it made it feel a little more natural. And obviously having Joppa there was pretty neat. So these are very little things, but important things if you think about it, because I think a lot of people were they felt a little awkward trying to like look at each other when they were there. Putting them in boxes, it simplifies it a little bit. It makes the stream a little easier to do, and they can just don't focus on the gimmick of it, just focus on the information. That was a little bit of a positive that I thought right away as soon as it opened up. Their format tonight, if you didn't get to see it, it's basically an open forum with some development updates from the last couple weeks. We're going to talk about those updates real quick. And then brief looks into what the team's looking at. So they started by showing us a picture of the Living Codex. It looks pretty hot. It's a really nice spell book. I mean, what do you say about a spell book? So what does that mean for me? Well, you have some kind of tabbed colored markers, which is interesting. So I don't know if that is a way to possibly set up preset builds. Maybe you hit a button and blue and all the blue ones. I don't know. You have the tabs on the side, and then you also have like little runes underneath each spell, which we did get a little more info that there's going to be ways to customize the spell. And in chat, and I apologize if you're watching and I don't credit you because I don't remember who said this, but someone said it's kind of like the Diablo rune system where you can put runes into your abilities and modify them. I absolutely love the thought of that. If that's exactly what they're going to do with it, let's go. That's awesome. I'd be thrilled if there's a rune system like we see in Diablo, because that opened up a lot of opportunities. So we'll see what that means. Right now there's 3 under there, but Joppa did say as well, that is not the only way you're going to be able to customize spells. So we may see a lot more ways to do it, or he said maybe that will be it. So interesting. There's some neat things in there, some questions for sure, the colors and what those runes exactly are going to be, but we did see a little picture of that. So what that brought into discussion from there was that the overall graphics in the UI, the hotbar combat box, he named a bunch of different things. Even said he was going to have a meeting on the what are they called? Action bars. So like they were going to have an action bar meeting and talk about it as well. So pretty interesting. They're redesigning a lot of how the things look and feel. I think they're getting more confident in the direction they want to go, and I think that's why you're seeing a major graphical overhaul. I don't think they would do a major graphical overhaul if they weren't pretty confident in what they were doing. And that did lead me to a question, which I'll ask right here. They didn't answer it, unfortunately, and if anyone's down there, let me know. But Joppa, real quickly, when he was mentioning the action bar, said not the functionality, just the design. I would imagine if they are redesigning it, that you would think they've set themselves to an idea. You're not going to redesign a toolbar and not know what you're going to do, or an action bar, and not know what you're going to do. So I'm really interested what the answer to that question is, if they are closer to their decision on moving away from the 12 skill action set, or if they're going to stick to it and add a couple extra bars for clickies and stuff like that. So it's been a hot topic on this show. We spent a lot on that, and the community still talks a lot about that. There's people on both sides of the fence, and it sounds like to me, this pure speculation, that they're closer to a decision on that. I was really hoping to get an answer. That's why I kept asking that question tonight. So then they got into Project Fairthale. So Project Fairthale, they talked about a couple things. They talked about the Merc, which they hinted on a few different times in the stream. It's a new, they called it a sub-zone of the Fairthale area. It's sort of like if you would go down into a canyon or something and you're in some kind of dungeony area. And they said that essentially we've seen Oldwood, we've seen the Isle of Infinite Storm, and they're just talking about how this band of area they've created or have done, and they were discussing like the level content through it. And there was a really interesting point that was made that I actually liked, is that these zones are really big. They don't want to overpopulate it so that people from all levels can be there, because then you could just go into an area and you could stay there, and you're not going to adventure and explore. So they're kind of making you explore. You're not going to be able to stay in one zone and get a ton of levels. You may be able to come back someday and hit another area that's a larger area, but they don't want like a very smooth transition through one small area, or even one large area where you can just kind of go level to level and stay in that atmosphere, which is interesting because it's pretty obvious that needs to happen, but it just felt good to hear them say that. They discussed something pretty important. This was another one of my questions that didn't get answered, but they discussed out of room pushes, where you may go to a dungeon and there's just no more room for a group, so your group has to decide to go to a different dungeon or a different area. And they said that they're really focused on making areas that you can go to. So my question was, are we going to see more dungeon-like areas? Because remember, we're not going into instances. They don't need to design instances. They're designing world dungeons. Are we going to see a lot of world dungeons to run into and be able to support those pushes out. And so a group can still have a great night if they can't quite make it into a dungeon they were planning on going in. So I'm very curious to see, because in most MMOs, you don't have a ton of dungeons everywhere, even in the instance ones, which is weird. In WoW, you kind of had very sparse dungeons, especially in vanilla, where you had to run all over the world to get to the next one. So I'm really curious to see what happens with that. So they got into a Q&A from there. The Q&A was, how hard has the combat been worked on? I'm not going to go into a ton of detail there. They're still working on it, and Joppa really phrased it well, that it's a combination of things that make combat feel good. It's the the animations, the sound effects, the particle effects, and everything that kind of goes with the combat, the data layer. So it's interesting because they're apparently even further developing their tools to be able to sync that. And it was really interesting as someone who edits video, and for anyone who else does, probably got a good feel for this. But they were saying that if this new strategy, they're going to be able to edit layers of what's going on, very similar to editing video, which I think is interesting. And I think that's pretty cool because you can line things up a lot easier than maybe the tools they're using now. So they are still developing tools. I don't know what everybody thinks about that. I think a lot of people probably like, why are you still developing tools? I thought you're supposed to be pushing this game out. I understand that completely, but these tools are going to last a long time, I hope. So when the game is made with certain tools that they get to, it's going to enable the future expansions and content pushes that come from it. So they're not only building the launch here, but they're building something that's going to be sustainable going forward. And an interesting thing I'll just touch on very briefly with that is I am friends with Zinix. He's working on the Vanguard emulation server. He puts a ton of work in. And I've had a lot of talks with him where he talked about Vanguard's, how the game was built. And one of the hardest things in running the server that he runs is that it was just absolutely miserable with how the game was built. And as the game continued to grow, it became harder and harder and harder and harder to build more game because these layers of databases they used were so messy and so convoluted that it was an absolute nightmare, which hurt performance, which hurt editing things, fixing bugs. So the tools that they do need to make here, while we don't want to be super patient, the tools they need to make have to be something that is easy to correct, edit, and move on in the future with. And that's very important. And I think that's something Brad really took away from how Vanguard was developed when they started developing Pantheon. And he kind of hinted on that a little bit. It was just, Vanguard was just way too complicated and way too many pieces. So little rant there. They got into rogues. So they got into rogues. They just said something neat we haven't heard before, is that rogues will have more abilities to affect their climbing, and they are going to be more innate at climbing. And he didn't want to spoil that, but that's awesome. So how about that? What's with the spa music in the back? It's relaxing, Ronik. It's relaxing. But yes, they were talking about how the rogue's going to have a little bit added features for climbing. That's pretty neat to hear. They talked also about the fact that when you're climbing, if you have a pet or if you have a charmed enemy, that they're not really sure how they want to handle that yet, because there's a lot of things that are going to take into place with like cheating or cheating the system, or not so much hacking, but being able to climb on a wall. Maybe if a mob can't get to you, then you can easy farm and cheese it. So there's things that they have to prepare for with the climbing that could unfortunately do that. But what they said is that it's probably either going to stay down at the bottom and fight. In the case of a summoner, you'd have to resummon it at the top. In case of a mez pet, looks like you're just going to have to break it. Or it's going to teleport up with you. So they're working on different things with that. So pretty interesting. I think with pets, why not just resummon them? If it's a regular pet with a charmed creature, it should just run free and go crazy. But we'll see what happens there. And getting towards the end of the information here, then we're going to start opening it up to you guys. So kill on sight was brought up. And it was weird. It was phrased in a weird way that I think added a little more confusion to answering it exactly. But they were asking if deity and race will matter in kill on sight in different areas. I think the deity tie-in is what kind of confused it a little bit. I think they haven't really talked a ton about how the deities will work. So I think that's why they maybe took a step back. But he kind of confirmed that your race is going to have a play in it, what you've done in the world. And he brought up what he called the faction matrix. So, everything you do is going to affect something. And even sometimes you'll affect something you don't know, and you'll walk into an area and get killed and be like, why did these people kill me? And you find out, oh, I've been killing their friends for the last 10 levels. So the faction matrix is something that's really cool. I'm excited for that, and it sounds like it's something that's near and dear to Joppa. So hopefully we'll get more information on that. So let's see here. Again, on Project Fairthel, they just talked about how they're making the engineering teams working with the design team to make even more tools to make it so it's really easy to put content in, because content's really where they're at now. They're just got to get more and more content into these areas, proper content. And then they did state that the Merc that we talked about earlier is going to be a high level zone. So there you go, high level dungeon area. And that the 30th will be the next stream that they will have. So that covers most of what was said. I may have missed a few key points. I'm going to tell you guys that when I look at the stream, I'm going to set my bar here, and then we're going to start inviting people in. We got the green room rocking, so we're going to go jump right into there. And it's open forum. You guys are able to talk about whatever you want in the green room. I'm going to say that I think the stream was kind of right in the middle. I wasn't disappointed. There were some fun things. They threw Rogue in there. That's going to get extra points. Anytime they throw Rogue in, you're going to get a bump up from me, right? Everybody knows that. And I was hoping they would answer some of the more difficult questions. There were some easy ones, and I understand that sometimes they don't have a good answer, so why just ask it to say we can't answer it? So I get that too. So there we go. We have the meter at the middle. That kind of gives you guys a quick recap of what was talked about. Of course, you can always check that out once they repost it. You probably check it out on Twitch now, or they will repost it on their YouTube channel, so check it out there. So let's go ahead and jump right to the green room. The first person I saw in there was Vandrad. So Vandrad, we're going to bring you in first to start the show tonight and give your opinion on what was said, what stood out for you, or if I missed anything, or you just disagree with what I said. So here comes Vandrad coming in. I love it.
Angry.
So I pulled you in to a dark laughter. That's scary to me. That's as a host of a show where anything can happen. So listen, you're allowed to be angry. Why don't you tell me a little bit about it?
Okay, so when I saw the tweet that came out, or the announcement, this we're going to be discussing progress. Okay, when I hear the word progress, I'm thinking accomplishments, things we've done. Where are we now compared to where we were before? I didn't hear any of that shit.
Well, I will agree with you.
Yes,
I will agree with you a little bit. I will agree with you.
Codex. Okay, fine. Okay, it's a fucking spellbook. I really don't care.
Hey.
However, I was sorry. I was looking for a bit more concrete development progress. Okay. And again, nothing specific, nothing that would paint them into a corner, but things like, I asked the question, how many zones have you guys either completed or are in progress?
Well, that is one thing that if you read between the lines, that's actually what I was about to say when you brought that up, is they did kind of talk about the band of areas they've completed in a sense. And they kind of were like, maybe you had to read between the lines and maybe it's not official, but it felt like Oldwood is done.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Right?
And again, it's
they're
kind
moving
of like,
into the, yeah.
Again, I said this several times. If you're going to be discussing updates in progress, treat this like a patch note.
By the way, Chris Perkins just said,
yes,
always good to hear that Van is pleased.
Van is happy. I said, treat this as patch notes. Give us things that either you've fixed, you've completed, you're working on, you're progressing, so that we can actually say, yes, we can look at something and say, yes, this is something concrete that we have done. We never actually quite get that. I did like, the codex there. Wonderful, yeah. Cool. I'm curious about all the little, big, little things on it, the big greebles all around the edges and those little dots. I'm concerned about, updates on how you can change spells over time. I worry about the balancing of that. Because depending upon how...
Vandrad, your anger may have just changed it. Did you see? Chris just said, that's fair. It actually makes a lot of sense. We should definitely have like a patch note segment on these streams.
Yes.
Look at what you just did.
Again, that's, again.
Your anger has produced positive results.
I've been saying it for a year.
Oh boy. Yeah. Old man Vandrad.
Right. So, so updating the spells, I would have a concern depending upon the freedom you have at which you can change spells. If you have too much of freedom, how do you balance against that? Because you're going to have to take into account how those spells have changed over time and develop content to take that into account. If you could sit there and triple up the effectiveness of a healing spell, you have to assume then that lots of people will update their healing spells like that, and content has to be developed to take that into account. Same thing for like a fire spell. I want to do more and more and more and more damage. So, it's like you're going to have to think about that. Then what do you do if you've updated a spell and then you find out it's a terrible combination? Can you undo it? Or are you stuck with a bad decision?
Well, just don't make bad decisions, Vandred. Come on. I thought you were better than that.
But, hey, come on. These are players. Not everybody's perfect. But, hey, I am a fan of decisions having consequences. So, okay, I'm great.
All right, cool. Well, I'm going to say you probably don't want to move that bar up too far. But here's the thing.
No, you're going to leave it right where it is.
Let me challenge you for a second. Can I do that? So you came in mad. I wanted more. I didn't get what I wanted. This is what I expected. And then once your anger level sort of dropped a tiny bit, you started talking about the things you liked that your anger didn't allow you to see before that. So there are some things you walked away with that you didn't like.
Right. And like I said, the spell book and some of the potential that's out there is interesting. However, the point of this whole thing was to talk about progress. Yeah. Where were we and where are we going? Now I understand, over the course of 2 weeks, there's not going to be a whole lot, but this could have been a year-end or a beginning recap over the last 6, 8, 9, 10 months, because we really haven't had a progress update, a specific progress update. So I could have seen it treated more like that. So that's where the anger comes from. Okay. But, hey, something else comes in. I go, okay, that's interesting. And I would love to see more about it.
Well, here's the good news. On the 30th, they're going to get a chance to win
and
you back.
I'm going to watch it. I'm going to sit there with bated breath. And, I've been here for 6 years now, and it's not stopping. So there we go.
Yeah, you and me both, buddy. Well, hey, Vandred, thanks for starting off the show for us.
Anytime.
And you just changed everything. We're going to see patch notes. I hope the patch notes have things we don't even understand. Like some NPC name will stop giving cookies if you hail them. Like things like we wouldn't even understand.
Gnomes stop tripping over twigs. Spiders stop humping ogres.
I would actually take an even fake patch notes like that. Just a little levity would be funny. All right, Vandred, thank you, buddy. I appreciate it, man.
Anytime, sir.
All right, we're going to be going with, let's go with Lexer next. I saw him in there with Vandred first. Then we're going to go to Mythos, then Erkai. So, Lexer, I'm bringing you in now. Hello, sir. What is going on, Lexer? How are you? Uh-oh. Lexer went away. Or he's muted. I think he went away. Does anybody type some things about Lexer? All right, we're going to drop Lexer. We are...
I'm back, sorry.
What did you had to pee? What's going on?
No, I got a tech support call.
Oh, okay. All right. Is that what you call it now? No, I'm kidding. Anyway, so what's up, man? What'd you think of the stream? What'd you think of the some of the rundown that I gave, or my opinion on it, or Vandred's opinion? Where are you at? What did you like? What did you want more of? Were you happy with it?
I talked a lot with Vandred before, just after the stream finished. I think it was a very nice, casual stream. Which, granted, there's nothing wrong with that. I am of the camp of I expected just a little bit more meat.
Okay.
Something besides, hey, here's the book that we read. Which, don't get me wrong, I love it.
Maybe more about that book. Like if this stream would have been just about the Living Codex, but it was more in depth than talking about the progress, would you have been happier than to get pieces of things? Would you rather it have been centralized on that? Okay.
I would have, but I mean, the stuff that they were talking about, like the Q&A section, it's good for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. For someone like me, it's not so big, because stuff like what happens to your pet when you start climbing. To me, that's not a big deal. A, I'm not a pet class player, and B, whatever they decide to do, I have faith that it's going to be the best solution for what they envision, and I'll find a way to make it work.
Yeah, you want more meat and potatoes, not the one-offs, how weird would this be type of thing. I can get that.
Yeah, but I am also willing to accept that not everybody wants meat and potatoes.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, like me, I got pumped up because they mentioned about rogues climbing better than people, right? Like for me, that was like, woo, you probably like, who cares?
Yeah, it just means they get to tie a rope around your ankle.
So are you in Vandred's camp? Do you want to keep that meter down? Do you want to move it up a little bit? I mean, he's almost buried it. If anyone wants to move it up, it's going to take a bit.
I'm going to say personally, bury it 6 feet under. But professionally, as someone who is a figurehead of the Pantheon community, I'd say move it up just slightly, because it was still great to have a sit down and a face-to-face with them.
Yeah. It is nice to see that Joppa was there too. I don't think we expected Joppa to be there. That was kind of nice.
No,
so.
And I will say,
and that's no offense. Let me make sure I say this, because I'm being honest when I say this. I'm not trying to kiss ass. Like, that's not an offense to Ronick or Ben in any way, shape, or form. Just Joppa has this passion about things, and we also know he wants to. You can see him holding back, and sometimes we all think maybe we can break him if we get him on a topic. So it's just it's. Knowing, when he was there, it was kind of like, oh, hey, Joppa's here. So it was kind of neat. Nice little surprise for the stream there. So I moved it up just a tiny bit for you. Yeah.
I'm upset that we haven't had Madaki on yet.
There you go. Maybe a future.
Yep.
There you go. There's a little request. Anyone in VR who's listening. All right, Lex, anything else before I drop you down?
Nope. I'll keep it short and sweet this time.
All right, man. Thank you. Yeah, it's a little short and sweet, kind of rapid fire to just discuss the stream here. So thanks for hanging on and jumping in late, man.
20-minute stream, Well, 30 minutes.
Ronick just asked me how much I got paid to say that. Nothing.
Well, I don't know.
Yet. No, I'm just kidding.
Madaki offered to let me play with his leather straps and chains. So it's going to be a mighty six-figure to beat that.
Now you got Sacred going at Ronick. All right, man. So I will talk to you later. Thanks again for coming in. We're going to go to Erikai next, and after that we'll go to Mythius. So Erikai, you are coming on now. If you want to unmute your headset and your mic. Les? It's kind of interesting. the Madaki thing. Okay, so here comes Erikai. What's up, Erikai? How are you?
Hey, man.
So are you? So I'm in the middle. I'm like, okay, there's some stuff I got that I liked, but so far we've had 2 community members on. They weren't happy. We'll leave it at that. They were not pleased. Where do you stand? Are you with them? Are you in the middle? Are you with me? Are you more excited than me? Where are you at?
So I think that I'm maybe a little above them, just a little bit.
Okay.
And I think that, and I was saying to Lex and Vandred in the green room earlier, I can kind of give VR a break a little bit, because I think that we have high expectations of these streams, even though they're really only every 2 weeks. Now, we haven't had that because of holiday break and all that and all that other stuff. But if we understand that these are going to continue every 2 weeks, we can't really expect them to drop huge beans, right?
Yeah.
So I kind of give them a little bit of a pass on that, and
you bring up an interesting topic, because I think when this all came to be, right, we all wanted the video newsletter in itself was a massive win. Everybody was really excited about that. It was something everybody asked for. And it was like, well, we'd love to have that. And, the newsletter's okay, but we'd love to see you guys and ask questions and be live. And they did that. Right. And everyone's like, oh, awesome. Thank you. And then they kind of hit us with, well, we're going to do it every 2 weeks. And I think that there was the, wow, that's awesome. And then the, wow, is that too often? Right. Like, is that too often to be able to have a really impactful stream every time? And is it okay if we don't? Right? Just seeing them, talking about them, giving us something to look forward to is actually pretty cool. And I think that the roundtable part of it, the Q&A, and actually it's funny, Mako just said that, is welcome. It's fun. It's you get to interact with them, the people that we're working with here and waiting for, and that community touch is really nice. So where do you stand on that? Just the fact that you kind of already brought it up, like 2 times every other week is a lot.
Yeah, that's kind of a lot, but I feel like it's not too much to at least, give us something maybe a little meatier. And like Vandred was saying, some more progress, right? That's what we want to know. Earlier in the green room, he was saying, you can even be as vague as, we completed the first geometry pass on 4 zones, or something like that. They don't need to be hyper specific, but just little kind of, I guess, milestones that just kind of help us understand that things are progressing. And I think that could be enough for a bi-weekly stream.
Yeah. And I think what's interesting is we brought this up with the other guests that were on the show, Vandred and Lex. maybe even just having one singular thing they talk about, open it up for questions and just take questions on that topic wouldn't even be bad. And then like when you have a week that's, you know, a little, maybe it's a little slower in development, you just do an overall like potpourri Q&A, and that would be fine. I think people would be okay if they said, hey guys, we're doing a open Q&A for this week's stream. People would be like, okay, cool. And then maybe just narrowing the focus on what we talk about. So if this was all about the Living Codex and as much as they could tell us without spoiling, because that's a problem too, right? And I think that I see this when Joppa speaks and when Ben speaks, like they want to tell us more, but the more they tell us, the less we're going to discover. And that is a ridiculously hard balancing act, because if we know too much and go in, then we're just going to be waiting to complete it, not discovering it. That is, in my opinion, one of the hardest things in this process right now is we're seeing under the hood and we don't want to see too much, but we want more, right? Like, how do we do that, Erica? How do we do that?
And you're right. It's super, super tricky. And I actually was heartened to hear Joppa address that in the stream. You know, when he said, we want you to discover it. We don't want you to show everything. And I think that's a really common argument, a rebuttal I hear to when people want to see and know everything, which quite frankly, I agree with. I don't want to go into the game knowing everything. And there's going to be some level of that for me, having pledged to an alpha level, but
yeah,
I guess I'll maybe try to have some restraint and keep some mystery.
Well, I think the fun thing is let's take a step back. I'm going to be cheesy for a minute, if you allow me to. It did bring the community together for something. We got to all hang out. We had about 500 plus people in there chatting and talking and building the community. So there's these little external things that do come from this, even on a stream that maybe we wish we had more. We're still having this community building, which is kind of what it was made to do in the first place, to have more of a touch with them. So it's interesting. It's such a delicate balance. And I constantly say this is the one side that I would not want to be them on. Like it's hard. You're not going to please everybody, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
So Erica, you'd move the meter up a tiny bit. You said you're a little bit ahead of them.
Yeah, just a little bit, maybe half a notch or so. I was pretty satisfied with it.
What was your favorite takeaway?
I liked the codex. Yeah. The codex was cool. It looked pretty good. I was really impressed. I liked hearing. I plan to play a summoner. I know you hate me now, but
I don't hate you. It's just it's canon for me to dislike summoners.
I know it,
and I dislike them. But other than that, it's just canon. So go ahead.
And so the whole climbing and the pet thing was really interesting to me because I'm gonna have to deal with that a lot, right?
Yeah.
And I can see why that's a difficult thing to do, and so I can appreciate that. I did like hearing Joppa say that when they make a design decision, they try to see how it might be exploitable. And I think that is a lot of what am I trying to say? That a lot of game devs don't do that.
Well, it's hard. I mean, when you're making an MMO, I mean, think about it. Blizzard has how many people building that game and how many millions and millions of dollars, and they release it and they patch it 1,000 times because people find a way to break it. I think that it's very admirable that they're fighting to do that, and that is going to make a better game experience for us. But I think that sometimes you're going to have to, and they kind of said this too, right? Like you're going to have to just patch stuff sometimes. Like that's just how the world's going to be.
Absolutely, and I would definitely expect them to patch things. That's not not my issue. I just think having the mindset of if we implement this, how can we make it so that it's not, just easily exploitable? Yeah. So many mechanics and systems get added into these types of games that you're just like, what were you guys thinking? Because now you just like broke your world, essentially. You add in such a thing and now you've trivialized half the world that you didn't design for initially. But, overall, I'd say, because I'm trying to keep this a little brief, I was mostly pretty satisfied. I would like Vandrite. I would have liked to hear a little bit more concrete progress. But if we're gonna get these every 2 weeks,
yeah, you gotta have.
I'm okay with it.
We're gonna have the ones that knock it out of the park, and then we're gonna compare to those. I mean, it's human nature. We can't do much to fight that. You lower your expectations, and they blow it out of the water, right? And then you get them back up because of that, and then it just comes back down to earth. So it's kind of happened a little bit there. But Eric, thanks, man. I'm going to drop you down and grab in our next guest. So thanks a lot.
Okay, thanks, man.
Awesome.
Talk to you later.
Cool. All right, so we're going to be grabbing in Mythius and then Hoye. So Mythius, you're coming up next. If you want to go ahead and unmute your mic and your headphones to show me you're ready, and then I will grab you and pull you into the room here. So lots going on in chat. Nathan, welcome, and thank you for chatting with everybody and keep it going. I see Fragile's here, Theric, Ronick and Joppa, you guys are continuing to support the chat. I love that, so I can't thank you guys enough. Let's see, Mythius it looks like he's good, so we're going to pull him in. What's up, Mythius? How are you?
Hey, guys.
What's up? So how'd you feel about the stream tonight?
We were listening to it together, me and Van and Gritaz, and it was, we talk about this a lot as a guild, and I think the more and more I think about it, the more and more I think that we're always expecting the next stream to be the PA5 announcement, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And which it's, to me, it's more, well, I can't, and I can only say things how I feel about them. I can't design a game.
You and me both, man. So.
Yeah, I can't do it. So I try to give these guys credit because I can't do it.
It's a good point.
And what they're doing is something that we're all, no matter how long it takes, actually, we're all going to still play it.
Of course.
And that's, that's what I try to hang on to. I like the codex thing.
I was gonna ask, what did you like the most? The codex for sure there.
Yeah, I liked it. It's kind of a new look into the whole tree build. As far as your character, you can kind of choose what you put into this or that or this or that. And we talked earlier about how, what if you make a mistake? Well,
back in the day you didn't get to reset. That's been a more of a modern thing that was added in, right? Back in the day, if you made a mistake, you lived with it.
Yeah, sure. Yes.
All right, Mythius, what would you do with the meter? Would you keep it where it's at? It's moved up a little bit from being down in the gutter from Vandrad and Lexer, but it's moved up a tiny bit. Are you happy with where the meter is? Do you think you'd move it up, move it back down? What are your thoughts on that right now?
I'll just leave it where it is.
Okay.
Like I say, it is what it is. They're doing something that we don't do. So,
and you know what? I'm gonna jump on piggyback on that for a second because this can get me in trouble. I think one of the problems is a lot of people think that they can, right? Like you're admitting, like, I don't know how to do this. I'm admitting I don't know how to do this. But we can read so much on the internet now, and we've been through development in games as a fan. So as fans, we're like, well, we know this, and we don't. Like we don't. No. So
no, we don't.
I can actually completely agree with what you're saying there. So,
right.
Awesome, Mythius. I'm going to drop you down and grab our next guest, man. Thank you. By the way, no excitement on the Rogue? Master Climber?
The climbing thing is new to me. Okay. So I can't really give a lot of
all right, well, if I see you in game, I will climb for you and I'll drop you a rope. All right?
Thank you.
So
Thank you so much.
Take it easy with this. Take care, man.
Thanks.
All right, we are going to grab Hoye, and then after Hoye, we are going to grab Gritaz, and then Booch. So Hoye, you are up next. I see you're ready to go, so I'm pulling you in now. What is up, Hoye, my tank? How are you, sir?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Doing well, man. What'd you think?
Pretty much what everybody else said. Kind of mediocre, but
what would you say, like, for future streams? How do you avoid, when you're doing it every 2 weeks, what would be your strategy to give them advice in, how to set it up so maybe there's not as much of a downer?
So I think what a lot of people want right now is they want to know progress. Where are we at? Are we, 50%, 75%? Do we take a step back? What's going on with that? Because let's be honest, pretty much everybody's waiting for pre-alpha, alpha. How close are we?
Yeah.
How close are we? How close are we? So I think the patch notes is an amazing idea. I've actually said that before. And I think it would be good. And they don't even have to go into like major details. They don't have to spill any beans. They could just say, "Hey, we're working on zone A, and it's 80% completed. We need to throw in a couple more names and make the named fights, finish those off, and then also on zone 3, we got to do another graphics pass, whatever, something like that, and then we could still see their progress." And I think a lot of people would really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's interesting too, and even just to say, like, I'm gonna be a rogue again, but we've been working on rogue stealth. They announced there's a new stealth mechanic. Been working on rogue stealth. Finding a mechanic that doesn't work for proximity's too close. We're thinking of expanding the proximity, like even things like that. It's not a super lot of detail, but it kind of tells you where their head's at. And I think the more that everyone kind of can align with their thought process, the better it's going to be. Now, do you like this idea that we kind of came up with on the stream tonight? Is like have a singular topic to talk about. You do your 15, because these streams are only supposed to be a half hour. So you do your 15 minutes where you talk about that in depth, and then you open up for questions on that topic. And then every once in a while you do like a overall Q&A on a separate stream. Do you think that would help? Like if they said, hey, on the 30th, we're going to be talking about paladins and we're going to be talking about a couple of abilities, so come join us. Do you think that maybe siloing the information so that people don't get crazy with what to expect would help?
Possibly. I think I would like to see that at least mixed in. I don't know about do that all the time, but at least mixed in like that. Hey, it's just a generic overview, or hey, today we're talking about pallies, or
yeah, yep. That's interesting.
There's a streaming that pretty much does something like that.
Yeah, true. And I think that's the problem too, right? There's levels. So there's streams where we're seeing gameplay. There's dates, which are, it's they're in a difficult situation because they've pretty much openly said there's not going to be dates. And I think that no matter how many times they say it, a huge part of the community just wants to know when, right?
Give us a progress bar.
So I'm going to ask a question. I'm going to outright ask a question to Ronik or Japa or anyone else who's in chat. I'm going to ask this question. I don't know if we're going to get an answer, guys, but they do come in here and they do sometimes humor us. So I'm going to ask a question right here because we're talking about it. Is one of the reasons that we're not, they've talked a lot about the reason that they want alpha to be launched more game ready. That's been stated. That's a real thing. Is it because we may see a lift on NDA for alpha? Are you guys taking all this extra time, making alpha more playable because a ton of people are going to get into it? Is there a fear of either breaking NDA, or are you planning on possibly loosening the NDA for when alpha hits? Because I think that would paint a good picture if we knew that, right? So if things stayed like they were now, you're just going to have more people, then a lot of us can probably say, well, why can't we just go in, right? There's already people in. Why can't we come in too and just do the same thing they're doing and help with bug testing? But if their plan is that when alpha launches, it's going to be less restricted and more showable, then I can kind of understand, but I think there's some confusion there. I don't know. Do you agree?
I've thought about that before as well. Are they worried about what's going to get out that's, puts a bad image on the game? Or the other thought I had is, maybe they just have so much work right now, they don't need to be bombarded with all kinds of submissions of bugs that they already know, or, having so many submissions submitted on the same thing.
Yeah, when you have a brand new group of people coming in, they may just start repeating what's already been said or done. That's an interesting point. And I'm imagining that the alpha group that goes in is going to be massively larger than the pre-alpha group. So
yeah, maybe a little angry too.
All right, Hoye. So what do you want to do with that meter? You want to move it up? You want to move it down? You want to keep it where it's at?
I'd probably put it right there where yours is.
Oh, you would move up a little?
I mean, the reality is we didn't even get these streams but just a couple of months ago, and they don't have to do any of this, and I'm pretty sure they just do it out of their own time. So I really appreciate that. Thank you guys, and it's just nice just to have some updates. So it's cool. It's fine. Just wait patiently for alpha. Awesome.
Thank you, Hoye. I appreciate it, my man. I moved you up a little bit. We're pulling it out of the gutter slowly. All right, man, take it easy. Okay, so we're going with Gritaz next. Unmute your microphone and headset, and I can pull you up all at once I see that in Discord. That way you can jump into chat with me here. And after that, we'll be going with Booch, Bronson, and Shepto just jumped in. So we'll try to get all you guys in tonight. Grataz, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. It's the first time.
I was going to say first time, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So welcome.
Yeah, this was quite spontaneous. Came to visit Mythius and Van, and I was like, all right, I'll jump in for this.
Hey, I have a microphone. I have an opinion. I can jump in here. So you're
no
doing
one
with
wants to hear my opinion, but
hey,
whatever.
on here, guess what? On this show, they don't have an option. So you're in a good spot. So
I like your format here.
Yeah, right. So go ahead. Tell us a little bit about what you thought tonight. Welcome to the Pantheon PlusYou community. It's all yours, man. What do you got?
Thank you. Well, I actually haven't checked out anything lately on Pantheon. I've been following it for 2-3 years, but haven't really heard much from PA5, so I just kind of stayed away. And I actually like a lot of what I got tonight. Yeah, I'd like more nuts and bolts, like Van and many others are looking for. I would have loved more diving into combat, and making combat feel good and look realistic is a huge part of immersion for me. Like I posted one question and didn't get touched on, sadly, but like what are they doing to make it look good for like fireballs and stuff? That's whatever, do some hallucinogenics and figure it out from that. But for a warrior, a rogue, and especially a monk or a ranger, like if a ranger's pulling back a bow, it better look like he actually knows what he's doing with that bow.
Wait, are we assuming that the ranger's not dead?
Because, I mean, I'm an optimist here.
Okay, I was going to say, because really programming a ranger, from what we know in the past in games like this, they really just need a proper death animation. But go ahead, I'll let you continue.
I mean, that's important too. That's the first thing. Take care of that, then figure out how to draw the bow. But, making it look good, like the elbows up, it's good alignment. And for a monk, I'm a gamer and a martial artist, so my neckbeard powers are pretty strong here.
Nice.
And I like when I'm playing a monk character, I want it to look like this dude spent time at the Shaolin Temple. I want it to look really crisp and everything. Very good mechanics.
Yeah, that's true.
Flow well, not very like I've played some games where it busts out monk and it's so choppy and it's just like, this is awful. It doesn't look good. I don't feel like I'm fighting here. I just feel like I'm playing some Rock'em Sock'em Robots.
And Chris actually just came up and said a lot of this is actually in the animation layer, because he was kind of talking about the layers. So he's actually referencing what you were talking about there, which is pretty good. So
nice. Appreciate that, Chris.
So yeah, it is interesting. I think you're right there that the animations do, it's funny, and I don't want to jump into another game too far here, but I think it plays a good role. For people who like action RPGs, so, there's a lot of people that hate on Diablo 3. And then there's Path of Exile and there's Torchlight. And those to me are three of the best that I've played, and people will probably toss in some other ones. But one of the reasons I never got into Path of Exile, especially early on, was because when I went up to a mob and I attacked it, I didn't feel like I was hitting it. Like the animations were there, but I didn't feel collision on my attacks with the enemy I was fighting. And then when you play something like Diablo 3, I mean, you are feeling collision like crazy. Like they're getting knocked back. You see them draw back when they're hit and they explode. There was just this massive feel of contacting the enemy. And Path of Exile didn't have it. And I thought Torchlights was kind of meh at the time. So it's interesting because you're bringing up with the monk, and they brought up these layers of, the different styles that are going to make combat better. And I think that one of the important things is having that feel of actual contact with the enemy you're fighting is very important. And that ties into what you were saying about the monk.
Yeah, definitely. It makes me, when you talk about having a contact, it makes me think of a virtual reality game that I really enjoyed, Vanishing Realms. And this is the first virtual reality game I jumped into. And when I'm swinging the sword, the enemy would clash back when I'd hit, and it would, it felt very tactile. Yeah. And you can get that in games like, hopefully, Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. And that just, it brings you in, it pulls you in so much, and can give you a little bit of frustration when you're trying to make attacks and it's just not happening.
Yeah.
And it gives you so much more reward where you're maybe you're figuring out some combinations of your abilities that's just oh, this is how I do it, this is how I kill this guy.
Awesome. So what would you do with the meter? Are you going to go against your man Vandrad there?
Well, I think I will a little bit. I would tack it up just a little bit, smidgen, but
Okay.
I came in without any expectations. This is a very spontaneous thing for me, and I enjoyed it.
Awesome. Well, thank you, sir. I'm going to drop you down, and please come back. Honestly, man, it's great having you. You guys are starting to all jump in from your guild, so we're going to have to give your guild a shout out here soon. We'll do something good for you guys. So thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Have a good one. Thanks for having me.
All right. So real quick, if anyone didn't see it, in the chat, I just want to throw this out there for Ronik. Ronik asked the question of, and he's very curious. He said, I'm going to read it exactly as he says here, so I don't misquote him. Just out of curiosity, with the caveat that there are no plans to change anything at the moment, would you guys prefer every other week thing or once a month that's more meatier, because it would be spread out? So if you guys didn't get a chance to answer that in the chat, throw that into the chat for Ronik. Ping him when you do it. Let him know what you think. Community matters, right? So it's all what you guys think is going to be best. And if you want a more meatier once a month, or if you like the little gatherings, I would say that I enjoy the little gatherings. So I'm going to take, even if it's sparse, I'll take a Q&A. A couple more people to get to here. Once again, we're going to go to Booch, Bronson, and then Shepto. I'm going to wrap up. And again, there's a small little announcement I'm going to make at the end of this stream. It is personal. If you don't like that stuff, get off. I'm gonna just do a little personal blurb here, put myself out there. But then I do have an announcement that comes with it and a little bit of a progress update. So I'm gonna do that after we talk to these three guests. I'm not gonna keep you guys here all night. It'll be a short announcement, but it is important. And again, we had someone bring it up in chat already, so it'll be interesting to just kind of get that out there. So let's go ahead. We're bringing Booch in now. What is up, Booch? How are you? Uh-oh. There he is. I heard you for a second, Booch.
Are you there?
Yes, I am here. Are you there?
Can we start the show now?
Hold on. Do you want me to go back to the viewer? Hold on. I'm gonna go back to the Pantheon Plus. Okay, it's on the screen. We're getting ready to start the show because Booch is here. The introduction is over, so we're gonna go ahead and jump to the show. So hey, Booch, welcome to the show. What do you got?
Well, it was like listening to the teacher from Peanuts.
Okay, the ma. That's what you thought of the stream?
No, I was saying the show before I got on. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm only kidding. Okay. So I come across as a heavy, but let me tell you something. First of all, before I say anything, I'm behind these guys 100%, no matter what I say.
Yeah, I think we all are. I mean, otherwise we probably wouldn't be here. So.
Yeah, so I think the problem is with the stream is for like personal reasons. For example, the pet question. Mm-hmm. Like, I never play a pet class. To me, that's like an irrelevant thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But the interesting thing is, at the same time as if they mention your class, then there's probably people saying the same thing. So that's difficult.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean,
I keep losing you, Booch. Unless you're just thinking.
No, I'm cutting in and out.
Okay. Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit. So you were saying that just the small questions that are being answered that maybe aren't more total game encompassing, like the one-off questions, you prefer not to be the main focus. I think we're losing Booch.
I'm still here.
Okay. So
yeah, to me, like I mean, the vociferous one, Chris Kane asked the question about the lore. To a person like me, that's also important. You know what I mean? Things about like, are we going to expect more lore? And it didn't. Then something, other small questions, which like I said, for personal reasons, to me they're unimportant, but to someone else, they are important. But yeah. I agree, kind of like what Lecture was saying. How you got to give them credit for at least giving the face to face. That goes a long way.
Yeah, I agree. So what would you do with that meter, Booch?
I mean, I don't know if I'm jumping the gun. It's almost like I want to hear some more information. So I'm going to say go down. Okay. Because I want to hear more. It always seems like I'm expecting some. Maybe my hopes are set too high. You know what I mean? So
it's sort of like mashed potatoes at Thanksgiving is I think what you're trying to tell me here is that, you pass around the food, you get your big helping of mashed potatoes, you finish everything, and all you really want is another round of mashed potatoes, but there's never any left after the first round.
Exactly,
right?
Exactly.
So you're just kind of sitting there like, I really just wanted some more mashed potatoes.
Yeah, that's all it boils down to is mashed
Gotcha.
potatoes.
I gotcha. Pooch, thanks, man. I appreciate you coming on.
All right, man. Thanks.
See ya.
Take it easy.
All right, we're going to grab Bronson, and then after that, Shepto, you'll be in, and that'll be our last two guests, and then I'll jump into a couple things. Mako said, Lex didn't say anything. The show just started. That's pretty funny. What's up, Bronson? How are you?
Hey, man.
So how you feeling? You've been on the show before, so I can talk openly with you about this stuff. So you are a game developer. You've done your work in games, and you get to see things a little differently because you get to wear a different hat than a lot of people. The fan hat, you obviously wear the fan hat, but you also have the developer hat. And I think that it paints a different perspective for you. Even Lexer's doing a lot of developer stuff now. So what are your thoughts on it? I mean, what'd you think? What were your expectations going in, and where'd it go from there?
My expectations are always pretty low. I mean, and that might sound bad. I don't mean it in a bad way. I just, like you're saying, it's coming from a different perspective, and so I don't really look at. I know what they're going through. I'm no fly on the wall and see anything of the day-to-day behaviors or how their work schedules are. But I come in with low expectations, and I'm usually pleased. So it's just nice to be able to hear what they're doing and what they're working on.
Yeah. Yep. So did you enjoy the stream then yourself, or?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I thought it was a good stream. I mean, it wasn't, obviously we wanted to hear more. You always want to hear more. I just, I was happy to hear about the Rogue. I was happy to hear.
Yeah, buddy.
I like the idea of that. Yeah, I know, right? I'm just looking forward to the pocket. I like the idea of these pocket zones that sounds like, or at least that they're doing the same similarities to EQ is where you have these really high level areas, which I love that, and it makes things difficult.
So just as we were talking here, Chris brought up a point. I think we actually covered this earlier. He said it's tough. Remember the magic of playing EverQuest for the first time, coming into it knowing next to nothing about the games, the systems, or lore. And then he said, would it have been the same if you spent 3 to 4 years hearing about all of it before you logged in for the first time? That's easy to answer. No, for me. I mean, do you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah, as I'm always saying this to anybody who'll listen. It's just like, you don't want to know everything. Stop asking them everything, because it's just going to ruin your first time experience. It's really not a good idea to want to know and see everything. I know it's so early on and everybody wants to see it, but don't. You're just going to kill it.
Yeah. That's someone said, that's what we want. Sometimes what we want is not what we need. There's a very famous song about that I'm sure everybody is familiar with that. The biggest problem is everybody just, it's not, and Chris just took the words out of my mouth. He said they need to be better at communicating progress without spoiling. I mean, how hard is that? I mean, Bronson, it's near impossible.
Yeah, I mean, how do you please everybody? It's not, you can't please all the fans, and because every time they give us a little tidbit, there's going to be like, I don't know what the percentage would be, but they're going to hate it or they're going to love it, and that's the risk you take on showing the people who really want this game so badly anything. And so you show them something, and then they just crap all over it. And I'm like, I can't stand to hear that, because I'm like, you guys know you love this game. You want this game. So
the reason you're mad is because all you want to do is play what you're seeing.
Yes,
so
exactly.
You can't be so excited to play the game and then mad at it for not letting you. Like, it doesn't work both ways.
I mean, you can understand that. You can understand the anger and the frustration. It's just that I just wish they wouldn't voice it all the time, because I mean, it's not. I mean, I'm sure the devs are just taking it with a grain of salt, and reading through and just hearing the good in what they're saying, and just kind of extracting the best, parts of the frustration.
I tell the community all the time, especially new people who come in, the negative people are a lot louder than the positive people. And that's in anything on the internet. You can go into any category on the internet. The louder people are always the more angry people. The people that are content and happy and consuming, they're not the ones making multiple posts here and there. So the silent majority are people who are just waiting and they're excited and they're patient. And then you just have people that are really excited and impatient. And then you have people that are just can't trust in things and are afraid to commit. And you're going to have all that. That's just going to be what you're going to have. So,
yeah, I was listening. I was talking to Vander, and it's funny. It was fun listening, talking to him.
All right, Bronson, what would you do with the meter? Would you move it up a little bit or down?
Oh gosh, let's see. I'd keep it right where it is.
Okay, sounds good. All right, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
All right, man. Thanks.
Bye. All right, we're going to be bringing on our last green room guest for the night, and awesome guys tonight, especially on a show like this. No co-host, just kind of wrapping up a stream. It's awesome to have so many people in the green room want to come on. So you guys have been awesome for that. Shepto, I'm going to be bringing you in now. Shepto, what's up, man? How are you?
Pretty good. So what's up?
What's up? Is this your first time on the show? I think it is. I mean, we've talked.
No, I've been a long time ago.
Okay,
I've
long
been
time ago.
busy with with work.
All right,
the old
all right.
retail
Well,
life.
welcome back. Welcome back.
Yes.
So what'd you think of the stream? What stood out for you?
I know a lot of people are kind of telling it's not enough meat and all that, and I get it and all that. I found it to be pretty standard fare, right? It wasn't super long, so how much can you really get in, in the 20 to 30 minute stream, right? I do, Van did make a good point about having maybe some just quick patch updates or not even patch. I wouldn't even call them patch, just kind of progress updates, right? In that.
What about even just collecting questions ahead of time so that the stream can go through questions quicker and they can answer the more in-depth stuff or have kind of be ready for it? You can still take some questions, but maybe like on Twitter, just put out there, like, ask your questions and they can roam through the Twitter posts and the responses and see.
And it's always hard because I know that a lot of people have problems with, they take questions and then, you read a question and they're like, well, somebody will be like, that's a silly question, right?
What's the old adage? There's no such thing as a silly question.
And that. But I mean, everybody has different ideas, right, of what's important to them, right? Just like you were excited for the Rogue information, right? And that.
Exactly.
But for people that don't care about summoners, for example, the pet thing doesn't matter to them. I get that. But it is important for the entire game. Because as even though you may play one class, you still kind of want to know what all the classes do and how they function inside your group so that, you don't have a pet that just runs off and trains everybody. So,
well, listen, whether you know now or not, you'll find out.
Yes, exactly. Right. So, I mean, no, I was happy. I know a lot of people were not, I wouldn't say thrilled, but just not enough info. But I give them a little bit of credit right after, the break and, holidays and, and I know they're constantly working on stuff, but I mean, they had a lot of stuff going on at the end of the year. So, it's just what it is. I look at these as more of a puts me in a happy place for a day, right? Like you get something, that I didn't have before and they kind of build on themselves. So, I try to stay positive about it because it just, if you start thinking a little bit too negatively, then
it'll consume you.
And you lose interest in something that you love, right? And that.
And don't forget, a lot of us were excited to play this game a year ago before all these amazing things were put in. Like so to think that we could be less excited now is just silly. It's honestly silly.
And I have no problem with criticism. People, as long as it's constructive, I've always said that. And I know developers always say that, but people can't seem to create constructive criticism. But I think the community,
as a society, we've sort of lost our ability to have strong debates in a positive way. I don't think that we can blame individuals for that. As a society, it's become a little struggle.
Yeah, you're right.
But that's why we have this show. That's why we have this show. Let's have good conversation. Yeah. And look, a couple people who are angry tonight might have changed everything for these streams. Sure. A couple people think it. So.
And that's what I mean is like, the developers don't mind constructive criticism. It's the ones that just go on there and be like, well, this is just this bad, right? Well, you don't give why, in that sense. And I think that's a problem that the communities in other just in general have struggled with, right? It's
Mhm.
like you're providing nothing to them to help them fix the problems. And I've always said, look, people might be angry in our community at certain things, but predominantly they're positive.
Yeah,
right?
and they're
Positive
still in the
outcomes.
community. We're still chatting. We're still sharing
Yes.
stories. You know, there's a
Yeah.
lot that's being built behind the scenes through the forums, through Reddit. Yes, even Reddit. Through
Yes,
the
I
different
know.
discords, right? So there is a lot being built that the community is doing on their own. It has nothing to do with me. It's the community as a whole. And that's all
Right.
real positive stuff. So even if it's just us bickering among each other about Pantheon, as Brad said to me the one time when I kind of rehashed my last conversation, was he would rather have trolls and negativity because that's better than silence and nothing, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah, and all you guys that do these things provide a medium to help other people talk about it, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's what I've always said. No other games have I ever, thought about playing that had this amount of connection, right? And that's something that you just don't get in other games. That's the honest truth. I mean, I've played a lot of MMOs in my days, and none of them have had this much community already built around something that we don't know when it's coming, but we all want to play it, right? And that's just something I've noticed over my many years of playing these sometimes silly things, right? So it is something that I just appreciate every time they do one. I know
Yeah.
a lot of times it doesn't have a ton of meat to it and that, but they at least are doing it, right?
Yeah.
We went through a long spell with nothing. So like I would rather have a 2-week, even if it's 20 minutes Q&A, right, than absolutely nothing at all and sit there and wonder what's going on in the game.
Yeah, and
You
that's
know,
where I
and
stand
that-
too. When Ronak asked the question if we'd rather wait and do it once a month, just the community getting together for the
Mhm.
20 to 30 minutes, even if it's not a ton of content, to me is worth it.
Right. And I personally think it brings the possibility of more people, right, joining and creating a larger community, right?
And for someone,
Maybe-
so here's something else that's interesting. And I've said this about the reason I make content, the reason I use YouTube instead of going to Twitch, is think of the new people. That's a lot of time our community, and I don't want to speak for everybody, but a lot of our community doesn't think about the new person coming in. They just kind of think about all the people that have been here. So a new person that comes in can now go back and start to consume these bi-weekly shorter snips of information and learn, and they're going to love that. So for the new person, getting every 2 weeks, going back and going through however many months that we go before they come in, to go back and learn all that is really awesome. It's an easy way to consume just little snippets instead of having to watch a 4-hour stream, you know?
Sure. And even if they show footage or whatever in each one, you can see the development, you can see the improvement, right? Ever since they did the first one all the way up to now, you see the improvement in all the zones, you see the detail put in and all that, and then the Q&As kind of fill in what you're seeing, in the sense of little things, right? And I just think that it's easier to consume for a new person. And I know, like you said, we all think from everybody that's been here for however many years, right? But to build the game, you got to have new people come in constantly and drive new people to, it's just like, it's like a virus, right? A good virus. It spreads, and you want it to really be something that when you log in that first day, that you're just blown away by how many people are there, and the just being in that world with all those people. It's just something that you don't see in games anymore.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I was joking about this earlier, but it's really not a joke. Like, if I ever get to stream Pantheon, whether it's alpha, beta, when the game launches, that day I get to get into the world. If I get to stream that initial jumping in, like, okay, this is my first time, guys. I've never seen it. You're experiencing this. You're going to see a 36-year-old bald guy crying or getting sad, like doing one of these moves here. Like, hold on, guys. I think I just killed my first elf.
and that's the greatest part, right? Is like, we all play games for different reasons, but really the reasons we enjoyed I call them the old school MMOs, the semi first gen MMOs, is because nothing built a better community than having to actually talk to people, right? And actually have conversations. And you may not always agree, and you may disagree, but you can be a decent human being and agree to disagree, right? And still have fun with your friends, and even they become a friend, right? that's it, it's just something that you don't see in games, and it's so frustrating to play anything now, and you're just like, nobody talks and nobody says anything to each other, and it's like, why am I playing this? I could play a single player RPG, right? If that's the case. So no, I think minus in general that stream wasn't bad at all.
Would you move it up then? Move the meter up a little bit?
I'd move it closer to you. I'm more positive, than most. But it's something that I know, and I would say next one they'll learn, and that's the best part. And I'll shut up after this. Is the best part is they're listening and they're learning and finding new ways to make it better.
Yep.
Right, and that's the best part. So, Van might be angry all the time, but he brought something good, right?
He's actually not, in all fairness.
I know. I was talking to him down there, but it's still fun, to poke fun.
It is fun.
In that, but he did bring something great to the table, and maybe they'll take that and run with it, and that's a great thing. And, that's what this stuff does.
Yep.
So I'm happy that it did. And that's really the...
Yep, and we got another one coming up on the 30th. If you guys didn't hear, the 30th is the next stream, so get excited. I think everyone's excited already. We're excited.
I think
so.
Next, so. Yeah.
Shep, thank you very much, man. Appreciate it.
Oh, man, anytime. Yeah,
welcome
you guys
back.
are welcome. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, guys, so I have a couple minutes left here. I'm going to close this up very shortly. There's a couple things I just wanted to bring out. I'm really close to the community. I've talked to a lot of guys in the Pantheon Plus Discord. I put an announcement out there. If you're not in there, didn't see it, I just want to give this heads up because there's something I'm doing that is hard for me. So for those that don't know, I worked for Bose, and it was released today that Bose decided to completely eliminate their entire retail division. It was literally, we got on a conference call on Tuesday morning, I'm sorry, and nobody had any idea why, and everyone lost their jobs. And I'm not here to ask for pity or any of that nonsense, but it's probably going to, at times, limit my ability to constantly put content out or interact with the community. So that's why I'm telling you, it's not, no one has to be sorry. No one has to feel bad. It's life. That's what happens, right? So with that happening, my store is going to be closing. So I got to figure out what the heck I'm going to do. And it was brought up to me from a bunch of different content creators, from different people in the community, that just to make sure the Pantheon Plus stuff continues, I've been getting this push to open up memberships on the channel. And I've been asked for merch for like the last year. Now, let me be very clear about what I'm about to say. I feel uncomfortable with this. I'm just going to be open and honest. And I've had a lot of people in the community tell me I'm stupid. Maybe I am, and maybe some people say I'm undervaluing the time we put in and the different people I work with, but so I'm going to look into opening up memberships for the channel. We're going to try to find some cool things for you guys to get out of it, but we're going to try to link it into the website. And the website that we are building is, I promise you, I've been talking about this forever, but the website that we're building is going to be really cool. So even if any content delays happen or I have to cancel a stream just because I'm trying to figure stuff out, know that the work on the website is going to continue. That's the biggest thing for us and something we're really excited about. So we're going to do some kind of membership thing you can do on the channel. It is not required in any way, shape, or form. But if you like the content, you want to help us continue on, I'm going to open that up. I felt like before I ever even thought about this stuff, I was going to have to wait at least a year. And we wanted to hit the 1,000 people. So again, I'm sort of really uncomfortable with it. I'm honest about that. If you want to chat with me in Discord after, you can. But the other thing people have asked for, honestly, just because I want to buy some, was merch. So I do want to show you guys that we are putting 2 shirts out on Designed by Humans. And honestly, I don't know if a lot of people are going to want to buy them, but I'm going to buy one and I'll probably wear them on stream, and it's pretty cool. So I'm going to show you a couple of shirts we have finished already. And they're going to be up on Designed by Humans. When I show you this picture, they're up there. They're just 2 of the versions of the shirts. We are going to make a couple more. And I just saw someone would want a Pantheon Plus shirt with like a small logo. That will be coming. These aren't probably that small. But we have 2 shirts we're putting out there. So I'm just going to show you guys this real quick. So that is the website at the top there, designedbyhumans.com/shop/Pantheon Plus. We have them female and male fits. Guys, I'm not trying to sit here and peddle. Please don't think that. But you can check the shirts out. We have the new logo and the old logo in variations in different colors and stuff. There's a couple other things on there. That's all I really wanted to say. But here's something I do want to tell you. We are making really good progress with the website. And we are really excited about what the website is going to eventually become for three normies in an emo. I love it. Everyone kind of has tattoos though. But yeah, that's the new shirt. And I will link the Discord for you. So give me a second to do that, and I'll link it in chat to those that don't have it. Again, guys, listen, it feels really strange saying all this stuff or announcing it, but I know that's part of this. It's not save minus. This is, guys, I know this isn't going to be a career for me. So please understand that. I have no dreams of grandeur about this, but it's just options out there for people who want to support, maybe get something out of it. And we're going to try to roll out a pretty cool membership thing. So let me link you guys real quick here, the Discord link. If you guys didn't know, if you go to Pantheon.plus, you can actually get the Discord link from there. But I have that for you here. So let me link the Discord. But we're gonna have more stuff coming out, and like you guys can even kind of give us some ideas on what you might want from gear from us and something funny. We're not gonna go crazy with this. Again, this isn't gonna be the lifeblood of me. I'm not gonna quit my job and do this professionally. I'm not that silly. It's gonna take time to ever do anything like this. And honestly, it's just kind of a passion project for me to support Pantheon and make sure that people get excited. So again, this isn't no dreams of grandeur. It's just something there. If you guys want to help and get something cool out of it, let me know. But I love you guys to death. This has been a blast. It will continue to be a blast. I'm not going anywhere just because I lost my job. Can't quit. You were fired. Nice. We're going to this will keep going, but I just ask for a little patience in case I have to just slightly delay some things, because I've never really delayed a whole lot outside of some of the unfortunate events that happened in November. But other than that and holidays, we are on board and we're doing a lot of stuff. We're going to do more stuff. But on top of that, just in case there's delays, I want you guys to know why. So if that being said, I'm sure maybe nothing will happen. We'll land on our feet and we'll be good to go. And then even better, because that's how life usually works, right? So sorry, talking about personal stuff is not fun. But I wanted to share that because it is important, and I'm kind of personal with the people I interact with. So thank you guys. Awesome stream. Thank you to the developers for the bi-weekly stream. And thank you guys for coming to this. We'll see you next week for sure. And I promise you that we're going to start trickling out some of the really cool stuff that's being worked on for the website. I'm telling you, it's going to be really cool. I just don't know when. So again, thank you guys. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. And probably be a few weeks before we do the membership packages. They're going to be very inexpensive, and we're going to think of some cool things and emojis and badges, and you guys can all be a part of that too. So love you guys to death. Thank you for putting up with my ranting and raving there. You guys are awesome. We'll see you next week on Pantheon PlusYou.